Greetings, people of the internet. My name is Big Mo, and it is my honor to welcome you to the hardest hitting, full of ranting, most entertaining show in the world. This is the Dave Van Auken Show!
What's up, guys? How is everyone doing? Friday, January 31st, last day of the first month of 2025. Where does the time go? Absolutely bananas. We started MMA. It's been a good month. I thought UFC 310 was spectacular. And this is give her credit where credit's due. Maybe the greatest fight in PFL history was, a couple weeks ago with Paul Hughes and Usman Nurmagomedov. So we're rolling. We're rolling. By the time, if you guys are watching this or listening to this, we got UFC Saudi Arabia, and that's early tomorrow morning. So make sure you're up early on the East Coast. But this video that I'm talking to you guys right now, I put a picture up on the YouTube, Fight Bananas Official on YouTube. If you're listening, there's a picture up right now, and it's called Fight Announcements. Ooh, water's good. This is a fight announcement extravaganza. I feel like in the last 5 days, there have been a lot of fight announcements. You see the picture right up there. I'm going to take that down so you guys can see my pretty face. There's also a plethora of more that's been announced, and I'm talking about like these marquee, really big, significant fights that will kind of, we are planting the seeds for 2025 and, of course, beyond. But we're going to have a big summer, a big fall. I do think we're going to get a big Jones fight for the heavyweight championship. Alex is in a couple months, and then maybe we'll see him 2 or 3 times. So we got a lot of things going. But a couple fights that weren't even on that little picture that I just put up there. I want to mention Marvin Vettori is back in the middleweight division. Vettori versus Roman Dolidze. That's going to main event UFC Vegas 104, I believe, on March 15th. So give a shout out to that. Again, the middleweight division is taking center stage this week and next week. We got Izzy's back fighting. We have Nasruddin who's fighting. Of course, we got Dricus and Strickland. We got Chimaev on the back burner. A lot of stuff. There are a lot of moving parts. Guys, how about Brendan Allen and Fluffy Hernandez at UFC Seattle in a couple weeks? So the middleweight division will be busy in 2025. And Vettori and Dolidze, they're 2 guys that are in the mix. It's funny. I saw one of the videos that Chael Sonnen posted about even Sharaboat, who's in the middleweight division who fights tomorrow versus MVP. He's like, I'm 3 wins away of fighting for the championship. Guys, I don't know who else to express this. I agree with Chael said. Marvin Vettori's 3 wins away from fighting for the middleweight championship, especially against Marvin's never fought Strickland or Marvin's never fought Dricus. If Vettori beats Dolidze, somehow Dricus retains. Just say Dricus is the champion. Somehow defeats Chimaev, or that fight never happens. Who knows? But if Vettori beats him, Vettori and Brendan Allen has a good rivalry. That can be the next match. If Allen beats Fluffy, Marvin beats Allen. And then a number 1 contendership could be Marvin versus Strickland, Marvin versus Izzy at the end of the year. My point is, all these fights are so big. There's so many good high-end talent. A lot of these guys are 3 wins away. So that's Vettori and Dolidze. Another one that's not on that main picture. How about King Green versus the Fighting Nerds, Marcio Ruffy? Love the fight. That's at UFC 313. Ruffy, one of the fighters of the year of 2024. King Green is always exciting, always kind of must-see TV. He's definitely big. Is he in that gatekeeper spot for the lightweight division? 9 through 17. And he is the veteran of that spot. Is he the one that says, hey, welcome, or hey, you guys got to step back? So I love that fight. I think it's a really big fight. I think it will be fun, stand up. I think a kickboxing war probably for 15 minutes. So I love that. So that's Green and Ruffy. Also, back to the picture at hand. Kevin Holland's back. Kevin Holland with to me, this is, be honest, I thought a pretty, I don't want to say decisive, but just not a good outing. UFC 310 was not his night. I mean, UFC 311, right? Yeah, UFC 311, not his night at all. And he needs to, I keep on saying that all these outlets and everyone that talks to Kevin Holland says, hey, he wants to be busy, wants to fight 5-6 times. Guys, you have to win fights. Tony Ferguson does not fight for the UFC anymore. You have to win fights, like sooner or later. And even if the guys, I'll call out Bilal Muhammad, who I'm higher on than the next guy. If you just win fights, no one can stop you. Like you just keep winning and winning and winning. I don't care if the UFC brass honestly doesn't like maybe Merab Dvalishvili or Bilal Muhammad or back in the day Leon Edwards or whoever the fighter is. If you're fighter A and you win fights 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in a row, there's no stopping what you want. There's no stopping for you for a number one contendership or a championship fight in the future. So back to Kevin Holland versus Gunnar Nelson, UFC London. Love it. Good fight on the card. But again, Kevin needs to win this fight. 4 out of 5 of his fights are losses. Kevin Holland needs a W at UFC London. Another fight. I love this fight. UFC 314. The American Dream, Chase Hooper versus effing legend Jim Miller. What a cool fight. Just I love the age and all that. Chase Hooper just defeated Clay Guida. Clay Guida is not part of the UFC anymore. I'm not saying anything that's going to happen to Jim Miller. Jim Miller wants to fight UFC 400. Let's see, right? My point is, it's a good fight for both fighters to see where they're at. Can Jim Miller stop the younger guys? Can Chase Hooper get through another really good Grizzly veteran? I think a UFC Hall of Famer. Very fun fight. UFC 314, Miami, Florida. Maybe the main event of the prelims. I think that's a great spot for it. I'm not against it being on the main card. Let's see. But I think that is a great fight for the main event for the prelims, UFC 14. And I will talk about UFC 314 in a second for sure. Let's go to UFC Mexico now. Mexico City. A lot of reports. Of course, for weeks, it was Diego Lopez versus Yair Rodriguez. I'm not saying the fight is off. I'm hearing different rumbles, and we'll get to that. But the thing that I think is official now, and we've heard out there, I don't know if it's a fight poster official, but Brandon Moreno, one of the greatest flyweights ever under the UFC banner, versus Steve Ercik. I'm hearing that is the main event of UFC Mexico City. Great fight. Love the fight. I think Ercik is one of those guys that the UFC likes because he's a finisher in the flyweight division, which is a rare item. It's almost an anomaly, right? So, but Brandon Moreno, absolute stud, gets the job done. Maybe one of the best performances of his career was his last time out. So I love that fight. And let's see. I don't think they will do our Morano versus Pantoja again, but guys, we're going to get into Pantoja fighting for the championship, and anything can happen. And this is go there right now. The UFC 314 co-main event, and we'll kind of talk about the main event here in a second, is going to be one of the greatest flyweights of all time, Alexander Pantoja versus Kai Kara France. Shout out to City Kickboxing. Kai Kara France fights for the championship once again in the UFC flyweight division. Great fight. Love it. Sign me up. Kai Kara France always brings it. Pantoja absolutely always brings it. To me, it's a different matchup. I love it. To me, it's going to be a very exciting matchup. It's one of those ones that I felt like it was the Kai Asakara one. It's a flyweight matchup that's not going the distance. And when you can put that together, that's fun. That's great stuff. So Pantoja versus Kai Kara France. So there's a lot of flyweights there. Let's talk about UFC 314. Also, real quick, shout out our girl Jillian the Savage Robertson will have fight news very, very shortly. We might even post it by the time this video drops. I'm not sure. Savage, got to fight. UFC 314. The one thing I think I can say in certain, and I know Bo Nickel went off on this, and that's kind of funny. Alexander Volkanovski will be in the main event of UFC 314. Against who? The UFC doesn't know against who. I think if they did, they would announce it, especially this is a big week. Maybe next week for the pay-per-view. Because, guys, we're right there. We are right there. UFC 312 is next week. 313 is Alex, T-Mobile, Las Vegas. 314, Miami, Florida. There's been a lot of fights announced. 2 of them we just talked about with Kai Kara France and Pantoja, Jim Miller, and Chase Hooper. Others have been announced. I think Jan's on that card versus Janadrova. So there's been fights announced. Usually they don't do that. They announce the main event or something really close, high up to it, and then work its way down. Guys, I'm hearing the things that I'm hearing. I know there's rumblings out there, but I'm just telling you what I'm hearing, that Volkanovski will be in the main event. They were going to go against Volk versus Ilya too. That was going to be the fight. Put Ilya Taporia on the main card, Miami, Florida, big card, defenders championship. Let's roll. Yeah, it's good. I don't love it, to be brutally honest. And I think Ilya kind of doesn't either. I don't know if Ilya's motivated for it or it's a weight thing. There is real, I think concern's not the right word. There's real question or mystery or concern that Ilya is not going to fight for the featherweight championship again. Like, he did it. One of the great runs in featherweight history. You can't get a better win back-to-back than Volk and Max Holloway. We might see Ilya and Makhachev in the summer for the lightweight championship. It might happen. And if that happens, I'm hearing that they will, not strip him, or Ilya will vacate. It's not they're upset or anything by that nature. I think Ilya and Makhachev will be one of the biggest fights, if not the biggest fight of the year. And if he does that, if he moves up to the lightweight division, they will make Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez will be the main event of UFC 314 for the featherweight championship. So crazy, absolutely crazy. Like I said, crazy fight announcements. It's all over the place. Holland and Nelson, Miller and Hooper, Morano and Usyk, Kaikar France and Pantoja. How about Vittori versus Delice, Green versus Ruffy, and a lot more. There's just been, I felt like the last 5 days, and that's why I'm making this video. It's great. We are in a really good time. There's fights for the next 11 weeks starting tomorrow at UFC Saudi Arabia. If you're watching this on Saturday, it's today. It's right now. Probably go watch it if you're on the East Coaster like myself. But what a great time. What a great time. So fight announcements, extravaganza. There you go. A lot of great fights upcoming. Very intriguing. Multiple divisions in flux. You see maybe the 4 biggest names in the flyweight division right there happening in the next over 70 days. The featherweight division's wide open and a lot of middleweight fights. So cannot wait. All right, guys. And hopefully you enjoyed. Do what you do. Like this video. Sub the channel. Fight Bananas Official. Give us some love out there. And we will have a post-fight show after UFC Saudi Arabia and so much more. We'll see you guys later. Fight announcements extravaganza.